Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to After Africa, another episode on Voice of Africa. My name is Michael Kosim. I've got with me today our usual guest, Mr. Marco from Ethiopia. Great to have you here. And Mr. Frank from Cameroon. Great to have you here. Today we'll be talking widely on internet censorship. Should it be restricted? Before I throw in my question, like we all know, internet censorship is the ability to restrict websites or online content from being viewed. It may come in the form of edit, regulation, or law issued by the government. I come to you, Mr. Michael. What's your take on this? Internet censorship, should it be restricted?
Well, restricted is a very strong word to begin with, but I'm an advocate of free speech generally, but it have to be but this free speech have to correlate with the country's values and morals. You understand? So, in case of, for example, take pornography. In my opinion, it's just against basic values of humanity for me. So, such kind of contents like pornography, child abuse, pedophilia, and things like that, they should be highly restricted and controlled, because we have to think about the general outcome of those things. So when you come to some other stuff, it's a bit debatable. So generally, I have to say yes, we have to restrict the internet access in some aspects. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Michael, I've talked a lot about generally about it needs to be controlled. What are your thoughts, Mr. Frank, on this?
Thank you, Michael, for having me once again. Dear viewers, good evening or good morning, whatever you are around the world. Today we are talking about internet censorship. You know, it is a hot topic because, like, everybody has their own view. Somebody think that internet should be restricted. Somebody think that it shouldn't be restricted. For me, actually, I will bring back again the definition of internet censorship. As you say, is a ability to restrict specified online content and website from being viewed. We are living in the 21st century where everything is almost is done online, and we need internet to. Internet is like a part of our life in business, education, football. Almost everything is done through internet. So saying that internet should be restricted, I think is being to reduce or to be retrograde, like to go back in, or to go back, like say that internet should be restricted is like going backward than going forward. So I'm not against, but I'm not for the restriction of internet. Why? Internet restriction is costly. Like it's a costly process. We have, as example, in Egypt in 2015, where during internet shutdown, it cost $90 million for the government. So I'm not really. I want to agree that internet should be restricted, but it should be mostly regulated. Like, yeah, we can go for regulation, but not restriction. Yeah, that's it. And also, in internet today, saying that internet should be restricted is like you can't really have a real economical impact if we restrict internet. In a country where government or where internet is restricted, investor cannot go there because you have to manage your investment. So it's like a business. You cannot promote your business, or maybe you can say you are good if in a country where internet is restricted. An example, let's say you have this group, Amazon, you have Alibaba. That's a platform where people buy shops online, and that's through internet. If in a country where internet is restricted, how can people you won't really have, you will restrict your economy, you won't have a great that country won't be you have a bad impact about economy. So investor cannot really be interested to put their money where they can't really get back. That's what I can say for the first.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Frank. There, he's raised a lot of point there, and I think right now we're having two sides.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank is rightly telling us it shouldn't be restricted.
I'm kind of against restriction.
But you want it to be regulated,
exactly,
controlled in a specific kind of way. Okay, Mr. Frank, you have any opposing ideas to what he said?
Basically, he's saying what I just said, like in a longer manner. You know, like when I say about regulation, like it doesn't have to be extreme. For example, you can take Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and countries like the Middle East countries. You know, even the funny thing is, in China, they restrict the word democracy. That kind of restriction is what I'm against with. But like as a human being, we have to value things that are very, very core for our nature. For example, as I say, pedophilia, things promoting hate speech, the Nazi contents, things like that. Of course, they have to be restricted. I'm not talking about the economical or like general restriction. For example, like in case of Cuba, right? Personalized internet is restricted generally. Nobody can have an internet access to his home. And that is crazy. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the general regulation of internet restriction. That's all. I think we have the same points right now.
We may have the same point, but there are. I mean, you are kind of promoting internet censorship or internet restriction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we can understand when it goes about family affair or children or maybe criminality. Yes, that point. Yeah, I can agree with you.
Yeah.
But globally, and with the world today, we are living in this 21st century. Like I say. Internet is mostly for education, for business, and for. I will take again another example, right? In a country where internet is restricted, right? People cannot there's entrepreneurial opportunities are very, very, very low.
Yeah.
The rate of entrepreneurial opportunity is very low. So I think. You are thinking about a family affair. Each and every person should to be free. Any free person should know what he need and should be how can I say that? A free person should has his own limit, right? Nobody should tell you what you have to do, but you have to set your own limit. Me, I'm talking about let's take. Do not go only about pedophilia, about children or about families. Taking the point of development, taking the point of economy, taking the point of industrialization. That's where internet and also by governance. Imagine if you agree with me, most countries where internet is restricted is where the government is doing bad. You know, government do not have legitimation.
Wait a minute. Excuse me, please. I gotta get back to this. Mr. Frank, you're completely misrepresenting me at this point because I'm against like dictatorship type of internet censorship. I'm against that. And you raise another point like. Most countries which have internet restriction are not well-developed countries. That's not true. Like, for example, you can look at China. You understand? So all I'm saying is I'm not looking at it from a narrow angle, like only from family values and things like that. But I'm generalizing things so that our viewers understand the idea. So you can
all right. Let's not get too off point. Basically, the topic is talking about like internet censorship. Should it be restricted? In a form, the advantage of allowing internet censorship is the violent content, which is violent, obscene, or dangerous. Can it be immediately blocked? Should it be blocked? Should it be restricted? This content where he was talking about pornography and pedophiles and etc. You have it. Should this content, this censorship, should it be restricted?
Mr. Mike, like I say, a free society should be able to set its own limit. You know, there are some stuff that you know is bad. You know that you should not do what is bad. You know, you as a human being, as a free person, you have to set your own limit, right? You know, this is what I have to do.
The point is, should it be restricted?
Of course, not restricted, but it should be regulated.
Regulated.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the word to use.
Thank you. That's the
Restricted
point.
or saying it should be regulated. Of course, you have to. It's just like a life, like your daily life, right? You have a plan. You know where to go. You know where not to go. So you should use the word regulate, not restriction or censorship. Those words are used in the dictatorship regime. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Basically, I don't know. Regulation and censorship are the same things. Basically, two different kind of vocabularies. I mean, like, if you block a pornography channel, are you regulating it or censoring it?
Good point.
Yeah.
During regulation, right? Regulation is when you set some principle above,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
You set some principle above, so you are regulating. So this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. That's a free society. Anybody should know what to do, right?
Yeah, okay.
But now between restriction, like maybe you can decide one another day. So today we will have these things anymore. That's restriction or censorship.
Yeah.
But when you regulate, everybody know what to do ahead of time.
Restriction is basically limiting.
Yeah, it's limiting, but regulation is not limiting. You are regulating. Okay, this content we should not. You are focusing about family affair. I will tell you. If I'm a father, I'm not yet. If I'm a father, right? I should tell my kid, this is what you have to do. This is good. This is not good, right?
Yeah.
When you are raising a kid, you should tell him early. My son, my daughter, this is what you need for now, and then you'll be this one. So the children, or like you're talking about a family, the parents should be the first educator, the first person to raise the children. So it's not.
Just exactly like what you said, we're in the 21st century, and everyone feels this new generation free to do stuff, and sometimes it could also affect the point you're trying to raise, like freedom of accessing the internet. As a kid, you could access the internet when your parents are not there.
Yeah, but if your parent gave you has given you some principle of life, you know that you can do that.
Not every child has a parent.
Yeah, and we all know that doesn't work. Please. It's just rubbish.
No, I don't want to be perfect, right? I don't want to be perfect, but at least we should agree with one with the majority, right? Not the the majority of course sometimes doesn't make sense, but you have to agree with what is.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
No.
I think you have.
Okay, I shouldn't take sides with no one. That's basically the point of being here tonight. We've seen Mr. Frank has raised a lot of speculations, and it's been contrary to what Mr. Michael also has said here tonight. Would like to know your views, viewers at home. Would like to know your opinions. You could also always leave your drop your comments on our YouTube page, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Let's come back. I'll come back to you, Mr. Michael. Basically, you've told us what the censorship of internet is, if it should be restricted or not. You've told us what it is, and I want us to go further. The pros.
The pros. Right?
Yeah.
The pros of restriction. All right. Okay. The pros of restriction. I mean, it can be a bit subjective. I mean, for example, a company might want to restrict its internet so that his workers' identity should be protected. As a country might restrict certain kind of websites and things like that because of certain kind of political ideologies. For example, the Chinese the Chinese Communist government restricts all medias because of their own rules, So restrictions can be any type and any kind. Even a parent, like you said, a parent might restrict its internet access so that the children should be principled. You understand? So restriction can be at any level, any time, and any place. It's not a big deal, I guess. Yeah.
Mr. Mike, like you, I guess you are generalizing. Yeah,
Of course.
I'm not against restriction, but I'm advocating about regulation. That's two different words. But coming for restriction, like imagine when you internet should be restricted. Like I would say, for the pros, internet should be restricted to limit criminal activities. Yeah, that we agree. Internet should be restricted to for if a country is feeling that is being there's some kind of is being insecure. Of course, you should restrict internet for a couple of time to set some stuff. That one we agree with that one.
Sure.
But today talking about Africa, some government, I will take an example for my country. During 2016, we were a part of the country, English-speaking region. There was an internet shutdown for 3 months.
Sure.
And where there was internet shutdown is the hub of technology, ITC. So imagine today where everything is about internet, e-commerce, business, investor. Nobody can go and invest where there's not internet. So in a country where you have a majority like I will call that we call Silicon Mountain, everything concerning ITC, everything concerning ITC in Cameroon is based there. But Cameroonian government they got that imagination to shut down the internet for 3 months, and we lost a lot of money. Those people investors living there and young entrepreneur, they lost a lot of money. I'm not saying that internet should not be restricted, but at least to shut down internet, you have to put a balance. When you shut down, which one is better for you?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'll come back to you again on a question that, based on the pros of internet censorship, we know it could lessen the impact of identity theft.
yeah, that's also a part where internet regulation censorship should be applied, right? Because some people out there like identity theft, yeah, it's something that we are facing, but as I said before.
So if certain websites are not being censored, if certain websites are not being restricted, based on you supporting the fact that you're supporting the motion, internet censorship shouldn't be restricted. You get what I'm trying to say?
No, imagine, like, I'm not against restriction, but I'm advocating for regulation. That we have to understand that two words. Like, the topic is about internet censorship. I'm against that. But I'm for internet regulation. In every country, we should have maybe like an organ in charge of internet. So people who are expert about ITC, they should set some kind of law. There should be people working about the content in the country. So they should be aware of everything. Like it's like constitution, right?
Sure.
It's like constitution.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yeah.
Please. So those the set companies or rules, what are they going to do? How do they regulate this evil or whatever kind of websites? Isn't it by restriction?
Exactly.
It won't be by restriction, but
What certain law can curb such? What certain regulation can? What are your ideas of regulations that can come and
You're just basically saying the same thing in a longer way.
Yeah.
maybe
I want us to reason on the same page.
Yeah.
For me personally, I will say when you set some rules, right?
Yeah.
When you set some rules, you before setting a rule, you do the balance. You see where you get more advantage or some stuff.
Rules such as
to educate first. Like first rule, first rule, you have to educate people. As a free society, everybody should know its own limit, right? They will say for the good of our country, for the good of our people, we should know, this kind of side should not be. We should not do this kind of stuff, right? You should. I think you should drive people's mind on what is good. Like they should only know what is good. Example in China, you just say in China. Do you know Asia today is the first country where internet is being used? But there also there's kind of regulation, but it's not censorship. There's a kind of side. They promote internet in another way. So that's that. I mean that's what I just want to say. But saying about concretely censorship, I'm not. The word is too big. It's too big to swallow. Yeah.
Okay, I raised this point also. Can your idea? Okay, you have an idea of it being of restriction of it being regulated, not restricted. Thank you. But okay, how do you stop fake news from spreading if you are regulating internet censorship?
Then to stop fake news, you have to provide the real news, right? If something is telling you so, well, if you okay, to stop fake news, that's simple. To stop fake news, you have to provide the real news.
Yeah,
that's simple.
I'm on the same page on this one, because fake news is also speech. Just because it's fake, it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be restricted. It's just like being a dictator. Any kind of news is a news. That's all. It's kind of a part of the freedom of speech. So it can't be regulated. That's just it's a bad argument, I guess. Yeah.
No, okay. Let's get back. Let's come back to the point where I was talking about it being limits access to harmful activities. We know there are dark areas of the internet where anything goes right now. Access to illicit drugs, access to sex trafficking, human trafficking, child pornography. You said pedophiles, and so we can be assessed with relative ease by those who seek out such things. By restricting content that can be accessed, it limits the opportunities that predators can create to reach out to find new victims.
Sure.
Yeah, that point. That's where I agree with you on that point. That's where I'm not. In life, everything has a good side and a bad side, right? But I have to say, my vision about life is to focus more about what's good and try to educate people about what's bad, right?
Yeah.
When you educate people about bad things, when you give them the reason to not apply or to not go on the road of bad things, they won't do that. They won't do that.
Yeah, sure.
So about you were talking about harmful stuff. 2 years ago in US, there was a man on Facebook. He killed himself on the Facebook live. Yeah, those kind of images are they're painful. You cannot really. Actually, I don't have a word to express that, but let's forget about those stuff and focus on what's good. When you come to, to that point, okay, as a free man, a free person is a person who should be able to set his own limit. If you see such a content on internet, right? First thing first, you have to stop the content. You have to block it, or you have to report to the organ, to people who are regulating the site. You should not wait for the government to receive the access to that one. So everybody should be his own everybody should regulate himself or to censor himself, but not
There are
we all do not have the same taste.
There are a lot of things these days online. There are a lot of things on the internet these days, and no one cares. everyone cares for himself.
Yeah.
Herself.
Everyone cares for himself, but thought is thought, right? Thought is thought. When something is good, it's good for everyone. At least 90%. When something is good, it's good for everyone. When talking
And there are few educated people who can really, identify, when stuff like this are happening,
It's just, it's just a personal thing. You're focusing on personal goals and values, but every person's values are not the same. And then just you seem like you're forgetting the young adults and things like that who are not responsible enough to make their decision. For example, there was a trend on Facebook, it's called the blue whale trend. Just people killing themselves. It's a trend, worldwide trend. So the majority of people who kill themselves are the young adults, like from age 10 to 12 and 15. So the government should be interfering this stuff right away. It's just not a personal value anymore. You understand? So this kind of things should be restricted, period. It's not even a debate.
Thank you.
It should be restricted, but who should restrict those kind of
Of course,
things?
the government.
Not only the government, but
we
yourself. You should be
we have to move on. We have to move on. We have limited time on our side. Okay, there's no way we're going to talk about the pros without talking about the cons. What are the cons of internet censorship? I'll raise a point first. There is a point where who watches the watchers?
Who watches the watches?
Who watches the watchers?
those
who tend to, yeah.
What? It's funny enough. They're watching the watchers.
Even if internet is going to be censored today, there's someone that has in the government. There's someone that has to stand up to accept the fact that we're censoring certain pages and these people could have also their own motives too.
Sure, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. You see, there is also always a counsel. For example, nowadays in YouTube, there is such kind of traits. For example, if you are aware of the political stuff going on in the West and every place, there are the far right and the far left.
Mm-hmm.
So the far left has always the idea of exaggerated hate speech. For example, if you speak anything against a certain kind of religion and anything, they restricted that. To do that, they have a special council, and their council, it might be like 3 or 4 people. And then you see, now here comes the problem. Who watches the watchers? Nobody. Basically, they're doing what's going on right now. They're just supporting. It's just there is a ship mentality. You can see that, and they only support things according to their agenda. They don't give a damn about the public. I'm telling you that.
Now to give a brief response, who watching the watchers, I will say it's common sense. We should share common sense.
There is no such thing.
No, there is.
No.
There's common sense.
Trust me.
There's common sense. Common sense come now with education. As education is something like we should worship education. We should worship education.
Okay.
Because it's only our mind, our way to see things, our feeling, not emotional feeling, but our to be truthful to yourself. I'm not too much like religious, but common sense exists, and we should mostly focus on common sense and try to impart on people about their mind. If you can control somebody's mind, you should tell him what to do.
It's going to take another turn. Please, you should intercept now.
Yeah, okay.
So, who watch the watchers is common sense.
Talking on a business line, on a business field, for example, I want to sell my product online, and because this certain product doesn't meet the standard the government wants, or it's actually something contrary to what the government is trying to,
impose.
impose. And
Yeah.
doesn't it affect the economy in a sense?
It can affect, but you see, the watchers are the ones who regulate the economy.
Yeah.
So anything that affects the economy, in their sense, it has to be restricted. Even the watchers, the so-called the social justice warriors, restrict things. That's why Frank falls. You understand?
Yeah.
His arguments will fall. Just right there. Yeah.
And also it limits entrepreneurship opportunities.
Exactly. So that's why I as an entrepreneur or maybe a future entrepreneur, when you talk about internet censorship, I feel like it doesn't make with the new area, like talking about censorship during in that domain for here. It doesn't make sense.
I would really like we elaborate a little bit more on the fact that it prevents individuals from accessing a freedom of expression. A little bit of elaboration here.
Nowadays, like, you see, freedom of expression, like, if we talk about in the sense of 21st century, you can say anything you want, but as we said repeatedly, it has to be aligned with the narrative of the so-called social justice warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the Western society, there is like an issue of migration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the elites or for example, YouTube is well known to restrict content which is against immigration. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So of course it can affect the economy and the social status and the thinking of everyone. So it's just a mythical creature. Like, freedom of speech on the internet it doesn't exist, to be honest. You can say anything you want, but till you reach your limits. That's all.
I'll let you break down your point also on the part of freedom of expression.
Yeah, I think we should be able to understand each and every person. We should be able to let somebody express himself. We should.
But not every expression has a good motives behind it. Sometimes you just want to come and say things that everyone has some sort of standards they have, and you just cannot just come and speak based on freedom of expression and hurt other people. Talking religious, we have the religious, we have the other political, ideas and everything.
I mean, when I say we should allow people to express themselves, right? If somebody comes to you and start talking things it doesn't make sense, right? You should fight. When I'm saying fight, to bring to you have to use your word. You have to use your manner to convince him. If I'm telling you something that's not real, right? You are saying that I'm trying to abuse you, right? You should be able to tell me what you are doing is wrong. That you should not stop me to explain myself to you, but you should make me understand that talking like, especially yourself like that, is not good for yourself. That's it's just simple. That's where common sense just step up, just like that. Let me tell you, okay, we are having a debate. Maybe let's go we in family. Your little brother should tell you some kind of stuff that doesn't make sense, right? He's taking you as a friend, telling you things that you cannot really swallow, right? You won't go and beat him up. No, you should sit down with him and use the knowledge you have to tell him what you are doing. That's not right. This is how you're supposed to do. You won't feel yourself oppressed, but he will feel that he has a good brother who is educating him about himself. So we should allow people to talk, but allow people to talk, but not allow them to do not let them go with ignorance. That's the first thing. Yeah, that's how we should try to regulate freedom of speech. You allow people to talk, but not let them go with ignorance.
All right, I appreciate your opinions, sirs, and it got a little bit heated up here. We talked about internet censorship. Should it be restricted? Mr. Frank brought a lot of ideas. Mr. Michael likewise did. We talked about Mr. Frank basically was on regulations, and he wants the word more. He wants the word regulation to be used more than restriction. But you know what, viewers? It's also going to get interesting if you keep sharing your opinions with us in the comment section below, on our YouTube page, on our Instagram, Facebook, Zaftra Africa, Voice of Africa, You should like, subscribe, and share if you find this very interesting. We'll go for a little break. We'll be back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to After Africa, Voice of Africa. I remain your host, Michael, and our usual guest with me, Frank and Michael from Ethiopia, here with us today. We briefly talked about internet censorship. Should it be restricted or should it not be restricted? Serious points has been raised, ideas have been shared, opinions likewise you can have. We know internet censorship is the ability to restrict specific websites, online content from being viewed. It may be in the form of an edit, regulation, or law issued by the government. Coming to a conclusion part, Mr. Frank, I want you to summarize.
I will say here I'm talking mostly about Africa or some the country. The purpose of censorship about internet is that the purpose of censorship is to restrict freedom of speech, mostly to maintain the status quo about the government. In Africa, censorship often used by regime that lack of legitimacy, of government. It can when you look at the 54 countries in Africa, most countries where there's internet censorship or shutdown, the regime where people are really against the regime. So they use that tools to try to manipulate the opinion, to try to cover up what's going on in the country, in their country, for people not to know. So, as I said before, in 21st century, internet should be internet should be used by everybody. But here now, as a person, we should regulate the internet and not censor it, because internet today is the heart of economy, the heart of industry. It's true, we can do everything. It is also a place where people can get education. As myself, now I'm trying. I have two online programs that I'm following. So I think internet should not be restricted, but it should be regulated. Usually, we should do a balance between the two words. And everybody should, as a free person, I know my own limit. I know what I should do. I know what I should not do. So, as I can say.
Thank you, Frank. You were brief, short, and explanatory about your points. Michael.
Okay. Now, basically, first of all, we are against any kind of dictatorship type of internet restriction. Period. But as a conservative person, I tend to look things from a moral and objective moral point of view. So, any type of ideas or websites or something, things like that, which have race-based or degeneracy type of ideas should be absolutely restricted and blocked. No doubt. Like, I'm not even apologetic about it. Let's just go that way. So, and then when you come to the other point, dictatorship type of, I'm going to repeat this, dictatorship type of internet restriction, like in the case of Saudi Arabia, and as we witnessed in the case of the Arab uprisings in the early 2010 and 2011. Such kind of internet restrictions are against freedom of speech, against basic human rights, so they should be discouraged. But censorship, according to the human moral values and objective moral values, I'm a conservative. You can persecute me for that, but it should be applied.
Thank you. That was short, not apologetic, and brief for Mr. Michael. Now, Mr. Frank was brief, short, and explanatory about his point of internet censorship. Yeah, he said, Mr. Michael said, dictatorship type of restriction or freedom of expression, it shouldn't.
Actually, I have a point to raise about Africa. Africa actually has a lowest rate of internet penetration. So to go again with internet censorship when we do not really have internet, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. We need a new kind of. We need internet to be. As I always dream, Africa should be a contender and not only a spectator. So to be a contender, to be able to compete with other countries, with other continents, or I may say that we should first of all try to upgrade our rate of internet penetration, and also that's where, and try to educate our people about the need and about how to use internet. We should set some rules. We should set some kind of organ to regulate, to educate people about what they should go on internet and not to restrict.
All right, that's besides the point. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming to the show tonight. We've talked widely on internet censorship. Should it be or shouldn't it be restricted? You can always view us at home. We would always appreciate your comments. We would appreciate the fact you like, follow, subscribe, and keep viewing our page. We appreciate that fact, and we hope to see you guys next time on our next episode on the Voice of Africa. Always remember, we love you, and would always bring to you content concerning today's world. Have a nice day. Till we meet next time. Goodbye.